Guys, it's time for the Three Billy Goats Gruff. Now, I've got to hold this book a certain way, so I'm going to move the camera down so you can see the story better. Okay, so please listen and we'll ask questions about it here in a little bit. I'm sorry about the camera angle, guys. I've only got one camera. So, the Three Billy Goats Gruff. That's not the right page. Almost there. Okay. Once upon a time, there were three goats named Gruff. There was a little billy goat, right here, a middle-sized billy goat, and a big billy goat. And their last name was what again? It was Gruff. The three billy goats Gruff played in the meadow each morning before breakfast, and when they got hungry, they ate the sweet green grass. But one morning, they decided to cross the bridge that goes over to the other side of the river, and they didn't know that there was a mean troll that lived under that bridge. Little Billy Goat Gruff went first. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap. Just as he was about halfway across the bridge, the troll jumped up from the bottom of the bridge and shouted, "Who is trying to cross my bridge?" Did that scare you? Did that frighten you? Because it frightened me when I read it. Let's see what the Little Billy Goat Gruff says. Little Billy Goat Gruff stopped and answered in his very small billy goat voice. "It is I, Little Billy Goat Gruff, and I am hungry. I want to eat the green, green grass on the other side of the river." The troll shook all over as he screamed, "You will not cross my bridge. I am hungry too, and I'm going to eat you for breakfast." Did that frighten you a little bit? I would be very frightened if I were the Little Billy Goat Gruff right now. It's really hard to turn pages upside down. There we go. Little Billy Goat Gruff was afraid, but he said, "Please, please, Mr. Troll, don't eat me. I am much too small. Wait for my brother. He is much bigger than I. He will make a good breakfast for you." So the little billy goat said, "Don't eat me. I'm not big enough. Wait for my big brother." Do you think that was clever? The troll looked at the tiny little goat. He was very small. "All right," he said. "Hurry across. I will wait for your brother." Look at what he's dreaming of. He's dreaming of a big, full belly of goat. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens. Little Billy Goat Gruff ran as fast as he could to the other side of the bridge. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap. There he is on the other side. When he reached the other side, he ate the sweet green grass. Look, he's looking over the bridge. There's the troll, and he can see his brothers on the other side. I wonder what's going to happen next. Soon, the middle-sized billy goat started to cross the bridge. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap. And just as he was about halfway across the bridge, the troll jumped up from under the bridge. Oh, that frightened me. And he shouted, "Who is going across my bridge?" The little billy goat stopped and answered in his middle-sized billy goat voice, "It is I, middle-sized billy goat Gruff. I am very hungry, and I want to eat the sweet green grass on the other side of the river." The troll shook all over as he screamed, "You will not cross my bridge. I am hungry too, and I have been waiting for you. Now I'm going to eat you for breakfast." Would you be frightened if you were middle-sized Billy Goat Gruff? Would you be afraid of being eaten for breakfast? I would be. I'd be a little scared. Middle-sized Billy Goat Gruff was a little frightened, but he said, "Please, Mr. Troll, do not eat me. I'm not nearly as large as my big brother. Wait just a little while, and my brother will be here, and he will make a nice breakfast." Didn't the smaller Billy Goat Gruff say the same thing? Well, there is one more big brother. The troll looked at the middle-sized goat. He was larger than the younger brother, but the older brother would probably be even bigger. Yum. "All right," said the greedy troll. "Hurry across. I will wait for your brother." Middle-sized Billy Goat Gruff went as fast as he could to the other side of the bridge. Trip-trap, 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 trip-trap. And when he reached the other side, he found his little brother and joined him in a meal of nice, sweet, green grass. Uh-oh. Who's left, you guys? Soon, the big brother Billy Goat started across the bridge. Trip-trap, trip-trap, trip-trap. And when he was halfway across the bridge, what's going to happen? The mean troll did what? He jumped up from underneath the bridge and shouted, "Who's going across my bridge?" And the big Billy Goat stopped. He answered in his big Billy Goat voice, "It is I, Billy Goat Gruff. I am hungry. I am going to eat the grass on the other side of the river." The troll shook all over as he screamed, "You will not cross my bridge. I am hungry too. I have been waiting for you. I am going to eat you for breakfast." Do you think Big Billy Goat Gruff looks frightened? I don't think he does. But Big Billy Goat Gruff was not afraid. He said, "No, Mr. Troll, you will not eat me." He put down his head and headbutted the troll right off the bridge. And the troll hit the water with a loud splash. Then Big Billy Goat Gruff went across the bridge. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap. And when Big Billy Goat Gruff reached the other side of the bridge, he joined his brothers and they ate a sweet green grass meal until their tummies were full. And the poor wet troll crawled back underneath his bridge. He was still hungry. The end. So, in the Three Billy Goats Gruff, tell me, what did the troll do to frighten the goats? He jumped up and he yelled at them and he said he was going to eat them. That's right. Now, how else could he have frightened the goats? What would have made you scared if you were there? What would have made you frightened? I think if he would have chased me, if he'd run after me, I think I would have gotten really scared. That would have frightened me. Have you ever been frightened like the goats were? Have you ever watched like a scary movie, or did somebody jump out from behind a chair or from on the side of a corner and go, "Boo"? Did it ever frighten you like that? Now, who in the story was clever? Who was being very clever? The goats were, because baby Billy Goat Gruff said, "Oh, I'm not big enough for you to eat me. Wait for my big brother." Wink. That was clever. So little Billy Goat gets to cross over and he doesn't get eaten because the troll's waiting for the bigger Billy Goat Gruff. So the middle billy goat gruff, who's bigger than the little one, but smaller than the biggest one, comes in and he says, no, I'm too small to eat. My brother's much bigger. You want to wait for him. That was pretty clever. And then big billy goat gruff comes along and says, forget about it. I'm not scared of you at all. And he's brave and courageous, and he headbutts him off the bridge. So the poor troll doesn't get to eat any food because he tried to scare everybody, and it didn't work for him, did it? Well, that's it for the 3 billy goats gruff, guys. When we come back, we're going to do a journal entry. And then when we're done with that, if I can get the page to turn, we're going to read one more story today. And again, it's about being frightened and being brave. So first, I'm going to do a journal model. So I'll see you in just a minute for that.
ECISD and the Education Foundation have been noticed around the country for their success. Amazingly, over the past 3 years, the AVID program has graduated 193 students, and of those students, 190 of them have been accepted to college. We are here to support student success, educate,
connect, inspire,
succeed,
dream.
Over here at Blackshear Elementary, Coach C, and I would like to share some games with you that you can play at home, inside, outside, with your family or your friends, using some household items. This first game is called Target Ball, and the way this game works is you are going to tap the ball and try to get it inside your opponent's hula hoop. Coach is going to be doing the same thing in just a second. We're both going to be tapping the ball back and forth. I'm going to block her ball. She's going to be blocking mine. I'm going to try to put one ball inside each of her hula hoops. She's going to try to put one of her balls inside each of the green hula hoops. Are you ready, Coach? We use our hula hoops. If you don't have hula hoops at home, maybe you have a jump rope, maybe you have something that you can turn into a circle. Chalk works really good. You can just use some chalk out on the sidewalk. And you can create this using a soccer ball, a volleyball, kickball, some kind of ball that you have at home. And it'll work just the same. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is a line on the gym floor that's going to help remind us. I cannot go to her half. She cannot come over to my half. But yet we're still going to try to keep the balls in play. You ready, Coach? All right, here we go. And we're going to just go at the same time, trying to keep all 8 balls going. I'm going to block hers. I'm going to try to make one. And I cannot go onto her side. Good job, Coach. I got to get hers back to her and still block. And remember, I can't go over there. I gotta get hers back. Good block. And Coach is gonna get the rest back to me. Good job, Coach. Oh, I had one in there. Coach kicked it out. And come on over, bring your pictures over to Coach. Sorry, that's okay. That's part of the activity to keep you guys moving, and you have to keep up with all 8 balls. So, as you can see, the game was not quite over, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this game up. You can play first to 2 minutes, see who has the most balls after 2 minutes, or you can play until there are actually one ball. There's actually one ball inside each hula hoop, whichever works best for you. Good job, Coach. We're going to move on to another game that we think you'll enjoy. This game is called Bocce Ball. And I've got 3 purple balls on on my side, Coach has 3 orange, and in the center is a tennis ball. So that's our target ball. And what we're going to do is, we're going to take turns. Over here on target ball, we pretty much just did a little speed round, and that was good. Kept us going. On this one, we're going to take turns. And the object of the game is to see who can get their ball closest to the target. So I'm going to let Coach go first. It doesn't take much. And then I'm going to take a turn. And Coach is going to go with her second ball. Good job, Coach. And all we're going to do is just put the target ball back. Yep. I'm going to go for my second shot. Not bad. We each have 1 ball left. Here we go, Coach. That's a good one. And last one. That's how you play this game. You can play maybe 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, however you want to do it. So that would be a point for me. And then what we would do is get the balls back, line them up again, and then play a second round. So this is a very good game also that you can play at home using household items, anything that you have to kick back and forth. And then of course a little tennis ball in the middle. Just make sure the ball in the middle is smaller. We're going to move on to another game that we think that you will like. This game is called the lava game. Coach is going to start on this half of the gym. Over here, Coach. She's going to start over there. And the object of the game is to go from one half of the gym to the other half using only the poly spots. You can use paper plates, a sheet of paper. She's going to start with 2. And she's going from one island to the next. She's going to start stepping without stepping into the lava. So she's making little stepping stones. Good job, Coach. Good job. Once she makes it all the way across, she's going to try to make it back. We have obstacles that are laid out purposely. We have some noodles out. We left the gator balls out, we have the cone. And when you set your obstacle course up, you want to make sure that you get things in the way, in the path, so that you can decide if you're going to go around, over, however you're going to do it. And that's what this game looks like. No, it's a little bit too far away, so when you set it down, make sure you don't go too far out, because you do have to turn around and pick it up. When she makes it all the way to the other end, come on over, Coach. She's going to be on that end over there. And if this is way too easy for you, you can make it more challenging. You can add some critical skills, such as adding another poly spot, adding a piece of paper, paper plate. So we do have our critical thinking skills on this one, and we're even going to make it a little more challenging. We're going to give her an item. So she's going to have to basically do the same thing. Go from one end of the gym to the other, one island to the other island, and here we go. She cannot hold the item in her hand. She's got to use the poly spot to place the item on. So she's got a couple balls in the way. She's got to figure out where to put that poly spot, where to put the item. And this game is a little challenging. You're going to have to work on it here in just a minute. Good job, Coach. She's doing very good. She's doing very good. Her only challenge now is she has the first poly spot too far away. So when we leave you in just a minute, we're going to start over. And we're going to work on how can we get from that end to the other end using our poly spots. Thank you for watching, guys. Remember, 60 minutes of movement a day, every day. Try these games out. They're a lot of fun, and we know you're going to enjoy them. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Madagascar. A strange world where nothing is quite as it seems. To hunt here requires stealth and subterfuge. And living within the trees is a master of ambush. A praying mantis. Well camouflaged and lightning quick, these insects are highly efficient predators. But even they are outgunned. Chameleon. Its camouflage is exceptional because it can change its skin color to match its surroundings. Its eyes move independently to spot prey. It creeps towards its victim until just in range. It unleashes a super weapon. Its tongue shoots out at 15 meters per second. And not only hits, but grasps its target.
I enjoy building connections with kids every year and with their families. What we do in the classroom is hands-on learning. Students are engaged. We don't talk a whole lot about the test. We prepare our students by planning lessons that allow them to be engaged, active, and learning. And our priority is their education. It's active participation, and they're doing. They're doing. Educate.
Connect. Inspire.
Succeed.
Dream.
Hi, my name is Presley Jackson. I'm a 5th grader at Burleson Elementary. Today I will be reading you a Blue Bonnet book. The title of this book is called What Could That Be by Reza Dalvan. This book is fiction. I know it's fiction because you can tell the animals are talking and there is a dragon. You can find this book in your local library or school library. This book is about animals finding a mysterious spot. Let's read about how some of the animals respond to the mystery. What Could That Be by Reza Dalvan. The leopard stopped mid-stroll. She went closer to examine it. This looks like one of my spots, she declared. It must have fallen off while I was hunting yesterday. I have to warn the others before they lose all their spots. And away she ran. A crow circled high in the sky when suddenly she saw something glint on the ground. She dove down and turned the object over with her beak. I bet that's a piece of star. It won't take long before the whole sky collapses. Flustered, she flew away to tell the others. The crow's call attracted the fox. He followed the sound and saw something strange on the ground. He sniffed it thoroughly but could not work it out what it was. He thought about it some more. The owl with her great night vision saw a glinting shape below and was certain it was a dragon's egg. The dragon might hatch soon and set the whole forest on fire. The cat thought it was a lump of her poo and quickly covered it up. But perhaps it is something that you know, something mysterious, something lovely, something magical. What do you think it could be?
So Presley, what was your favorite part of the story?
My favorite part of the story was when the cat covered up her lump of her food.
What do you think the big black spot is?
I think the big black spot could possibly be a leaf, an asteroid, or a furball, or a feather.
What would you rate this book? If you could rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of rating would you give it?
I would give it a 9.5 because it's fun and it's fiction.
So, is that some of the reasons that you like this book so much?
Yes, and because it actually tells a different story, but nonfiction can tell a good story.
Great. And so would you recommend this story to your friends?
Yes, I would recommend it for all ages because it's really funny and it's exciting.
Thank you, Presley.
Bye.
Welcome to part 2 of Charge Your D and C Batteries, an introduction to depth and complexity. My name is Eliseo Gomez, and I am a gifted and talented teacher at Reagan Elementary. In the last video, we talked about the icons of language of the discipline and details. Today, we will look at 4 more icons that will help prompt our thinking into depth and complexity. Let's take a look at unanswered questions. There are 3 different kinds of developing questions that we can ask. Number 1, we can have a question that we call as a hypothesis, such as in an experiment, where we have to research to find an answer over time. Number 2, you may have a fast answer to a question because of prior knowledge on a particular topic. 3, true unanswered questions lead to other questions, and we do not have an answer to them. Let's take, for example, the stories of Cinderella and Goldilocks. In the story of Cinderella, we could ask the unanswered question, did Cinderella ever visit her stepmother and sisters after she lived happily ever after? In the story of Goldilocks, what was Goldilocks doing? Walking in the woods by herself. Where were her parents? The second icon we will look at today is called multiple perspectives or different points of view. In this activity, it will teach us to look at things from different perspectives. Scholars, get out art materials, paper, and crayons. You are to draw and design a drinking cup for 4 different people, a baby, a teacher, a doctor, and a janitor. Remember to design the cup from the person's perspective. If we look at a doctor, we might have to brainstorm what kind of cup would benefit a doctor. Then we need to look at the baby. What kind of cup would benefit a baby? Well, for the baby, we would need handles for the baby to be able to grip the cup and change the mouthpiece to where little liquid would come out of the drinking cup versus an adult. Working from multiple perspectives or seeing things from multiple perspectives can also include looking from perspectives of different ologists. We can look at the We can look at things from the perspective of an archaeologist. We can look at things from the perspective of a biologist, a mathematician, a scientist. So we can, as scholars, train our minds to look at things from different perspectives. The next icon will involve what we talked about in the last video of important details. Take a look at this picture. I have given you a little bit of clues to guess where the location or what the picture is about. If I uncover some more shapes and give you more details, you might be able to now have a better understanding of the location and what is happening in the picture. The location is a school. You see a teacher and children interacting, and it looks like it's a maybe STEM class or a science class. This is called finding the big idea, where we look at important details so that we can find the big idea. The big idea is the one thing that ties all our learning together. Take a look at the tent below. What is the big idea by just looking at the tent? Well, we know that the big idea is a circus. We can talk about the details that we see within a circus, the selling of popcorn, riding of elephants, clowns, animals doing tricks, are important details that lead to the big idea of a circus. We are also going to talk about ethical issues. This is our last icon that we will focus on, called ethics. When we look at ethics, we look at the bad and wrong side of things, or the good on the right side of things. So we might wear the black hat and be the bad guys wearing the black hats. We might wear the white hat and be the good guys wearing the white hats and seeing things from good versus seeing things from bad. Let's go back and visit the stories of Cinderella and Goldilocks and look at some ethical issues wearing our black hats or wearing our white hat. Was it ethical how the stepmother and sisters treated Cinderella? Was it right or wrong? Goldilocks, was it right or wrong for Goldilocks to have gone inside the bear's home without her knocking on the door? So these ethical issues can prompt students to think and be able to give their thoughts and opinions and defend their answers. Thank you for joining me in Charge Your DNC Batteries, an Introduction to Depth and Complexity Part 2. Stay tuned for Part 3.
Hi, my name is Priscilla Hinojos. I'm the school counselor here at Burnett Elementary.
Hi, I'm Kristen McGuire. I'm the school counselor from Gonzales Elementary.
Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. Sometimes it can make us feel fearful or nervous.
And sometimes anxiety can cause our brain to fight, freeze, or flight. Fight is hi-ya! And flight. Yeah! And lastly, freeze. Sometimes it can make our hands feel all sweaty. Other times it can make our muscles get all tense. And sometimes it can make our tummies hurt.
How to kick anxiety to the curb.
Just breathe.
One way is to act like you're blowing bubbles.
Another way to practice your breathing is to try and blow a balloon up. And a third way to practice your breathing would be by putting your hand on your tummy and breathing in for a count of 5 and then breathing out for a count of 5. Begin breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can repeat this as needed.
Butterfly. Butterfly. Place your hands facing you. Hook your thumbs. Place them to your chest. And just tap and breathe. Exercise.
Hello, scholars. My name is Mrs. Pinkstaff, and I am an instructional specialist and a member of the elementary math team. Today, I want you to begin thinking about solving word problems. I know, word problems. But even if you don't have any numbers, did you know you can solve word problems? Well, today I want you to think about the questions in this presentation and ponder about how those could help you next time you have to solve a word problem. Let's look at this sentence. June collects shells. Think about some questions that you may have about this. What does it say? She collects shells. What other questions might it make you think of? Perhaps you wanted to know why she was collecting shells, right? That's a good question. Maybe you asked, how many shells did she collect? Was she gathering them up? Or maybe you said, does she collect shells often? Is this a common thing that she does? What other questions did you ask? Let's look at this now. We have a little bit more information. June collects shells. She collects some shells on day 1. Now what questions do you have? Did you ask, how many shells did she collect? Or maybe, how many days did she collect shells? Just day 1? Or maybe you asked, were the shells all the same size? Tell someone in your home your questions. What are you asking right now about those 2 sentences? Let's add a little more information. June collects shells. She collects some shells on day 1. She collects some shells on day 2. All right, now think about what your questions are. This gives a little bit more to ponder now. This time, did you ask, I wonder how many shells she collected each day? Or, how many did she collect in all? If she collected for day 1 and day 2, I wonder how many shells that is. What other questions did you have? Share those with someone. All right, I want you to answer this question. How many shells did June collect in all? You say, well, we don't have any numbers. How do I answer this question? How would you answer this question? Can you do it without numbers? Maybe you said, I know. I would add day 1 and day 2. The number of shells that she collected in day 1 and the number of shells she collected in day 2. But how would you write that without any numbers? Did you think, day 1 plus day 2 would equal my total? Or did you say, well, if I took day 2 and added day 1, I would get my total? You're both correct. That's absolutely fine. Either way is perfect because of the commutative property. We can switch the order of those days, of the numbers. All right, let's think of another way we could express this. We know there's addition. What is the inverse operation of addition? Subtraction, exactly. So if you thought of subtraction, maybe you thought of this. If I took my total and I take away day 1, that would leave me with day 2. Oh, what if I knew the total and I had day 2, but I didn't know what day 1 was? Well, I could take my total, take away day 2, and that would leave me with the number of shells for day 1. Let's go on. June collects shells. She collects some shells on day 1. She collects some shells on day 2. She collects some shells on day 3. Wow, now what questions do you have? Share those with someone. Did you ask, now how many shells did she collect in all? We have 3 days now. How would you answer this question? I bet you already have a pretty good idea of what you could do. Yes, perhaps you said, I would add again. I'm going to do the same process. But what would you add? Well, we've already been through this. We know there's no numbers. Did you think, I can add day 1 and day 2 and day 3 to get my total? Day 1 plus day 2 plus day 3 equals total. But how could you express this without any words? We're not going to use day or total. What would you do? Well, sometimes we use letters to stand for numbers. These letters are called variables, just like in science. So we use that variable to stand for something else. So let's see what we do. Let's use something for day. What do you think? What letter could we use for day? D. And then total. T. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Did you think about it this way? D1, that would be day 1, plus D2, day 2, plus D3, which is day 3, equals T, or total. Or we could use that commutative property, and we can mix them around. Day 2, so D2 plus D3 plus D1 equals T. Day 2 plus day 3 plus day 1 equals total. Either one of those will work, and probably several others. So let's challenge yourself. Do you remember that subtraction problem we did earlier when we took the total first? Can you use that here? Think about that. Did you think I could do the total minus day 1, and that would leave me with day 2 and day 3? So let's look at that equation. Total T minus D1, day 1, equals day 2 plus day 3. Or maybe you said total minus day 2 equals day 3 plus day 1. Both of those are great too. Good thinking. You've done a great job. Kiss your brain, and remember, math is awesome. So when you come across a word problem, think about all the possibilities before you start even trying to do the work. Great job, guys.
The reason why New Tech Odessa is very different from any other learning environment here in this area is our core values. What we really inspire in our kids is trust, respect, and responsibility. So the whole purpose of the design there at New Tech Odessa is to actually make it more of a college vibe. So we have common areas, and that's where the learners can go to work on their projects. New Tech Odessa, it is a very different learning environment.
Educate.
Connect. Inspire.
Succeed.
Dream.
Hi, this is Julie Harland, and I'm your math gal. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where you could search for any of my videos organized by topic. We'll be translating verbal expressions into algebraic expressions, so there's some terms we need to know. The first one is sum. When you see the sum, that refers to addition. So when you see this word sum, it means we're going to be adding. Okay? Sum is the same thing as adding. So if we read this, the sum of a number and 6. Makes sense. If you have a sum, you've got two things. So the two things we have is we've got a number and 6. Usually it's separated by that word and. Okay? So what do we call the number? Well, let's just use a variable. I'm going to use n for number. So we could write n, that's one part of the sum, and 6 is the other part of the sum. So that's how we would write the sum of a number and 6. What about the difference of a number and 2? Difference refers to subtraction. So when you see the word difference, it means we are subtracting. And again, notice it says of a number and 2. The two parts are separated by that word and. So whatever comes first, you'll put before the minus sign, and what comes after the word and is what you would subtract. That's how you would differentiate what goes first and what comes second. So again, let's just use n again to represent the number. It has to be a variable, and 2. So n minus 2 is how we would write the difference of a number and 2. All right, next one. The product of a number and 5. Product means multiplication. So when you see the word product, you have to associate that with multiplying. And we've got a number and 5. So how would we write a number and 5 multiplied together? Well, you could say n times 5, right? Often you would write this as 5 times n. And the most simplified way of writing it is, you know, when you have a dot between it and you have a variable and a number, you could just put it together and write it as 5n. Now, you could also put a parentheses around the n, or a parentheses around the 5, or a parentheses around both of them. There's more than these 3 ways to show a product, but 5n is probably the simplest way of writing this answer. So that would be the product of a number and 5. The last one will be the quotient or ratio. Both of those words represent subtraction. Both quotient and ratio mean division. But we usually don't write the division sign when we're doing algebra. So a more common way of writing this answer, again, we're separating a number and 4, so those are the two things. You could, of course, say the number's n divided by 4. And it doesn't matter whether it says quotient or ratio. Both of them mean the same thing. That represents division. So whatever comes first goes before the division sign. So we have a number and 4. Those are the two things. I forgot to subtract, to circle it up here. Here we go. So the more common way of writing this is as a fraction. So we say the quotient of a number divided by, we use the fraction bar, and 4. So this is the way we usually want to write our answers when we are doing algebra. So when we're working with variables. So we've got the sum of a number in 6 and plus 6. The difference of a number in 2 and minus 2. The product of a number in 5 is 5n. It looks funny to put n5. We always put the coefficient, the number part, in front of the variable. And the last is the quotient or the ratio of a number in 4. The way we write that is n over 4. So whatever comes first you put in the numerator, and what comes second, and 4, that's what goes in the denominator. All right, there are a lot of ways of expressing subtraction, and there's a lot of little nuances here. Let's look at these. 6 more than a number, that refers to addition because we're doing more than something, so we're going to add it. So if it says 6 more than a number, think of 6 more than your age. Well, you'd have to know your age, and then you would add 6 to it. So in this case, 6 more than a number means you start with a number, so we have a number, and then we're going to do 6 more than that, so we're going to add 6 to it. Now the question is, could you write 6 plus n? Certainly, because n plus 6 does happen to be the same thing as 6 plus n. But these next 3 are subtraction, and it's going to make a difference what comes first before the minus sign and what comes after the minus sign. So let's look at this first one. 7 less than a number. So one technique is thinking about how you would answer this question. 7 less than my age. How would you get that answer? You would take your age, and then you would subtract 7 from it. So instead of starting with our age, we're going to start with a number, okay, and then we're going to subtract 7 from it. So this is tricky. It's not 7 minus n. What it's saying is 7 less than a number. It means you have to start with a number and then subtract 7 from it. Now, look at this third one. It's not the same. It says 7. Oops, it is the same. I didn't mean to put less than. I meant to put 7 less a number. A little bit different. 7 less a number. Well, first of all, most people don't talk that way, but you might see this once in a while. 7 less a number means we start with 7. Less a number means we take away that number. So this is 7 minus n. That's pretty tricky. What's the difference? It doesn't have that word less than. So again, for this one, 7 less than a number, if you're not sure how to do it, put in something you would know, like your age, and then do the same thing using a number as opposed to your age. 7 less a number, that's like saying 7 less 2. You mean you start with 7, subtract 2. And how about this last one? 9 decreased by a number, it means I've got to start with 9, and then I'm going to decrease it, so I have to take something away from it, and I'm going to take away the number. Again, I'll call it n. These are pretty tricky, the ones for subtraction. So as you can see that we had the word difference, which means subtraction, but here's some other ways that subtraction might come up. You also might see minus, or you might see subtracted from, decreased by is here, etc. There's a few more that might pop up. By the way, these are all just expressions. They're not equations. We're not solving for anything. We're just writing an expression. Notice there's no verb. 6 more than a number. 7 less than a number, etc. No verb. It's not going to be an equation. There's going to be no equal sign. We're simply writing an expression from English into mathematical symbols. Let's try doing some that are used for multiplication. All right, first one here. Twice a number. What does that mean? Twice a number just means 2 times the number. So if we're going to use n for the number, 2 times the number, you would just write as 2n. Now this next one, I'm putting 2 things together. It says 3 times a number. Well, what would that be? That would be 3n. Okay, 3 times a number subtracted from 10. Okay, so what are you going to start with? 3 times a number or the number 10? Well, you're subtracting from 10. So that means you've got to start off with 10, and then you're going to subtract something from it. And what are you going to subtract? 3 times a number. That would be 3n. So there are a couple examples where we've got multiplication in the mix. And the second one also has this subtraction. Okay, try these two on your own. Put the video on pause and see if you could write this as an expression, and go ahead and let the number be n. Okay, so what do we have? 5 added to the product of 9 and a number. So we're adding 5 to something, so I have to do this part first. The product, remember, means multiplication. And what are the two parts? I've got 9 and a number. So how do I write the product of 9 and a number? I do 9 times n, which is 9n. And then it says I'm going to add 5 to that, so then I add 5. That's what you should get. All right, next one. 6 less than the quotient of a number and 4. So 6 less than something means I'm going to take away 6 from something. So I know I'm going to subtract 6 from something. Now I've got to figure out what I'm subtracting it from. What am I subtracting 6 from? The quotient. Okay, remember what the quotient means. We write that as a fraction bar, and we have the number and 4, so we'll put n in the numerator because that comes before the word and. So, and the 4 in the denominator. So we've got n over 4 minus 6. So now we've written 6 less than the quotient of a number and 4. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where you can view all of my videos, which are organized by topic.